Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is CKM with a new Crusader Kings 2 video. This time it's going to look at the latest DLC that's just been released called the Republics. As you can see, I have all the DLCs. Now, this is a weird one for me because usually I wait for the DLCs to be reduced by 75% in a Steam sale about a year later, but this time I've decided, for reasons that I can't actually quite work out, that I'm just going to play this immediately. So this came out yesterday. Now I actually did do a video for this, which was basically the first time I actually opened it up, and I just decided to record what I thought as I was going along. However, it turned out to be 30 minutes of me going, what's going on? So it's pretty boring. So I've decided that what I'll do is I will restart the video from scratch, and what I did last time was I kind of went through loads of concepts for this DLC, and for the entire video the game remained paused, which was stupid, so I'll actually start the game this time. There are some developer diaries which are worth reading if you want to get this DLC, which are on the Paradox website or the forums. But the other thing that's quite interesting here is that to play as the Republics you need to have this DLC. However, there is, and I don't know whether this is just an error, but there is actually a way that you can have a sort of brief taster of it, and certainly if you want to follow this video and you haven't got the DLC, you can actually have a look at some of the new screens yourselves, and I'll explain that shortly. So we've got this thing about the Republic. So what this is all about, basically there are only 4 Republics that you can play. So previously, without the DLC, whenever you try to play as Genoa, Pisa, Venice and Gotland, you couldn't play. It will tell you can't play, and if you don't have the DLC, it will still tell you, I think, that you can't play as those republics. However, now obviously you can, but you need to have the DLC, except if you want to play this bloke here. Okay, Count Gentile, or Genitiles as he will hilariously be referred to from here on in. He actually, if you click on the, if you've got your game open without the DLC on there, you can actually play as him, and you'll see all the new screens. Now, what happens is, I believe, is if you carry on playing for a little while, it will probably kick you out and crash on you, or it won't actually crash. It will just end the game, because I don't know whether it's just a bug that they even let you play for a little while, or whether it was designed to be a sort of demo. I have no idea. But it's just useful if you do want to have a quick look at what some of all these screens are that I'm going to start banging on about. You can just click on this guy here, Count Genitiles of whatever. So what I'm actually going to do is play as him myself. So let's just get in. Now, last time, as I said, I did a first video where I went down and talked about some games concepts and blah 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 blah, and I didn't actually start the game, and that was just me. It was just really dull. I listened back to about 5 minutes of the video, and quite frankly I was bored myself stupid. So what I'm going to do is unpause it immediately. Oh, hang on. And already, so how far, I don't know how far that went. Was that a day? That's more than happened in the last video already. So there you go. Maybe I should just stop here. So, to the most excellent Count Genitiles, as you can see, I'm going to persist with that because I find it amusing. Your wisdom and mercy are legendary. I've decided to grant you the barony in recognition of your service and your nobility of spirit. Lovely. So he is our liege. So let's have a quick look. So we're down here. So we've got these 3 things here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it unpaused. I keep it going, but at the slowest speed. And so I will now attempt to try and explain succinctly what this DLC is all about and why it differs. So I hope you're listening carefully and you're sitting comfortably, and so I will begin. So the Republics, what's this all about? Well, Venice is actually is a good example. I've read up about Venice before. So as you know, all of this stuff over here, you normally play as a feudal lord. So whether you're the the Earl of Desmond, you own a big slump of land there. Slump of land? That's not English, is it? Dumb man, I've made that up. Slump of land, in the county of Desmond. That gives you money, and it also gives you troops. and that's where your power derives. And then the game, you know, you try and conquer more areas, blah 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 blah, and that's the feudal system. Basically, feudal is basically land based, so your power comes from owning more land than anybody else, and that's applicable to all of this, really, most of these areas. However, there were these little republics, Genoa, Pisa and Venice plus Gutland, I guess it was, but I don't know about that one. But the three here, so there's Genoa there, there's Venice on its top there, and then there's Pisa. La Pizza, I think that's Pisa as well. Is that Pisa as well? I could be, yes it is as well. So, well, you can tell, I guess, by the by the stupid colours. So that's Pisa, that's Pisa, Pisa. So anyway, so what's all this about? Well, basically, these areas weren't feudal, and Venice is a good example of that. As we said, feudal is all about land, and anyone who knows anything about Venice will know that the one thing it's quite short of is land. It has a shitload of water, but it doesn't have much land. So therefore, building up historically a feudal system in Venice would be quite tricky, given that there's not going to be very much landed nobility because there isn't any land. So they became a trading nation, and what that has actually created is that they still have leadership and they still have a nobility. However, the key thing is the leader of this republic is this guy here, who's the Doge, and the way he becomes the leader, whereas before you did it through sort of conquest and breeding, and you know, you became everybody's liege, this bloke is basically elected the leader. So that's how it works, and that's why it's known as a republic, because it's theoretically it's democratic. However, of course, in practice it's not democratic. It's still only really the rich. Now, for the purpose of this game, sorry, it's still only, I should finish sentences, shouldn't I? It's still really only the rich who can actually do the whole voting and be voted on. But you know, it's obviously more democratic than before. So how does it therefore work? I mean, we're going to be jumping about, but let's have a quick look. Basically, the way that they've set the game up to give some sort of control over it is that there are 5 leading families in each republic. Okay, so let's go back to Pisa to look at our republic, right? And what you do is, it's only from those 5 families that the leader, or the next Doge, he's our Doge at the moment, the next Doge is picked, and it's picked via an election. And the election is by a Senate, who aren't actually represented in this game because it doesn't really matter. However, if we go up here, not there, let's go there, the Republic. This is a new tab, okay, which is applicable to this, and this is why I said maybe you can start a game here, because you can have access to these tabs. They have a different colour and blah blah blah. Right? So here's the 5 families who are eligible to supply the next Doge. Okay. We have the family of Della Gradesca, and as you can see, the actual current Doge is the head of that. The patrician is the head, the eldest male of that house. So he's currently the Doge, and he's a member of that house, Della whatever. Then you have Visconti, Catani, they're the 3rd family. We have us, Da Piano, the piano. That's the piano, isn't it? So yeah, we're going to call that a the piano from now on. I don't know why we're going to do that. Well, we just that's me there, you. So I'm the head patrician, the head of that family. Then we have the 3rd family, Alianta. Now this screen, and we will look at this in more detail. But what this screen is basically showing is who's going to be the next elected Doge. And what happens is when he dies, he's the current one. So the next elected Doge is going to be one of these 5, and currently it's all based on respect, as you see here, and so he's got the highest amount of respect, so he's expected to be the successor, and respect depends on age and prestige. So this is one of the key things for the who's going to become the next leader, or the next Doge. Okay. As you can see, there's us. We don't have as much respect because we've only got we're a bit younger. Let's have a quick. He's 47, and we are 38. And I've just realised something quite handy there, which I hadn't noticed before. So I'll come back to that. There's also this thing called campaign fund. Okay, so what this is you can take money out of your wealth. We have wealth up there, 364. One of the things you'll notice about this is these people are much wealthier, and we'll come on to that again as to why. But basically, what you have is you want to be able to campaign for the head of your family. So what you can do is you can set money aside. If you look at this number up here, it's going to reduce every time I set money aside up here. It reduces. Okay. Now I'm not actually spending that money. I'm just reserving it. You see, I can undo it there. But what basically happens is, when he dies, that money is then spent. It's almost like there's a round of voting going on. Now we don't see any of that voting, but as you can see, my respect is going up because as you look, the campaign fund is giving me an extra amount. So if we were to actually go along and just keep adding up, let's see what happens. Our respect number is going up, and we're now expected to win. So you can stick a load of cash there, and it will go when this bloke dies, and it might help your election. You can, of course, take the cash away again before he dies if you need the cash yourself. So it's just like a reserve. I think all the others are doing the same thing as well. So, and it's secret. So I'm not sure how reliable this is, because although I've upped that to get my respect number up, but I'm sure he's spending money as well. And as you can see, it doesn't say there. Yeah, I think it's a hidden aspect of the game. So I could piss away loads of money into my campaign fund here to get my respect number way up. Suddenly I'm looking like I'm now going to be the next Doge. However, I'm guessing that these people also could be spending money and getting their numbers up, but I don't know that. I don't know how much they're spending. I know what his age is, and I know how much prestige he's got, but I don't know what he's campaigning. So I could spend all that money there, 180, thinking, oh brilliant, if he croaks it, I'm the next bloke. However, it might turn out that that's not how the election went, so I don't know, it could be wrong. I've also been told as well that this expected successor doesn't always, even if you have the most, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll get elected. There are some random shit going on. So that's kind of the way it works to become the top dog. So you will always play in the republics as a head of one of these families. Okay, that's what you're going to play, and then it's all about whether you'll be elected Doge. And you can be Doge when he dies, and then when you die, your son might not be Doge. Blah blah blah. So it comes and goes. There's also lots of these new events. I haven't seen this. What's all this bollocks? So the dock workers handling the loading and unloading of our ships have become quite efficient. Disembark crews are complaining. We gain loads. Oh, hang on. Disembark are complaining that they barely have enough time to get drunk. So we're being really efficient here with our trading, which means we've got some extra wonger. I'm going to just reduce that back down to 0 again. That's where we were. So the key, therefore, is, while we continue, let's have a little look at the succession planning. Okay, let's do that first. Then we'll talk about wealth, and then we'll talk about where you're getting your money from, and blah 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 blah. So let's have a quick look at succession planning. Which, remember, if you go to laws, you used to have all these choice. You could have elective, primogeniture, gavel kind, blah blah blah. Well, for the succession laws for our family, which is the Republican laws of Piombino, okay, you don't have any choice in succession apart from one small one. It's agnatic seniority. Now this is new, it's come in with the patch, so this is basically like primogeniture, but it is seniority, but it's for men only. So it's the eldest member in your dynasty is going to become your successor. The reason for that is, again, if you remember up here, you get more respect the older you are, because these republics, because they're electing a leader, they tend to go for the experienced people. They're not going to elect some sort of fly-by-night bloke. These are experienced merchants. That's how they've made their fortune, and therefore they're going for experience. And this is therefore reflected in the in the succession for for who's going to take over as heir to the county, or heir to the family, and it's seniority. So it's the eldest member of the dynasty. Now at the moment that's because that's our son. However, you're going to have, at some point, you're going to have uncles and things like that, and it will go to them as well. Now there is one small little thing: you can designate an heir, which is interesting, and we will use this at some point. But let's have a look. He's our current heir. Okay. Let's go to and he's our brother. He's our. Oh, that's bullshit. Oh yeah, that's right. Our kids. He's our eldest son. Our youngest son, Giovanni. He is not going to be the heir, right? Because unless the other bloke dies. However, we can do this: award honorary title, designated heir. Now, if we do this, we actually kind of elect who we want to be the next heir. I haven't used this yet. So you might think, therefore, well, that's all a bit shite, because then what's all the point of all this bollocks here? But it's a one-off election. It's not like elective monarchy or elective succession that we had before, where you can keep changing it. My understanding is, now I haven't done this, so I don't know. My understanding is, if I award a designated heir title, I get a plus of 50 opinion, obviously from this bloke, because he loves me. But my understanding is, yeah, it doesn't say it there, does it? My understanding is that once you've done it, you can see there, I'm choosing him to be the patrician, i.e. the leader of the family business, and therefore the patrician is the one who's here. They're all the patricians of all the various families. So I'm choosing him to be the guy I want to be my next head. However, my understanding is, it's a one-off. Once you've designated someone an heir, you can't change it. You can't take it back. You can't move it on to someone else. Therefore, it's not quite like elective. I guess it just means you can override the seniority thing, but you can only do it once. So obviously, if you make the wrong choice, it turns out that, say I give it to him, and then his traits, I mean, he's 15, so his traits nearly done, but for some reason it all goes tits. You can't change it. Now, I don't know what happens if he then dies, if you then can redesignate, but you can do it to anyone, I think, who is male. So I think I can do him as well. I can designate the heir to him. There's all the normal titles that you can give there as well. I couldn't give it to the son beforehand because he wasn't old enough. He was underage. That's why there was only one title for him. All the others aren't available until he's old enough. So I have, so I can basically designate the heir, but at the moment I'm not going to do that. So we'll look at that at some point and see how that plays out. Other than that, you can see there's no choice in those laws, so none of that fucking about there. But there is the normal feudal stuff down here, the taxes and the levies and all that cock, right? So that's the succession laws. Women can never succeed. It's a patrician, male-dominated society. Women will never be the Doge. And as a result, that has a few impacts on things like marriages. For a start, if you're, this is my daughter. If I try and marry her, I can't marry her matrilineally for some reason. I don't know why that is. But there's no matrilineal option there. So that's one change from before. And the other big change is if I want to marry. Let's have a look here. Let's have a quick look here at, I'm going to marry someone, right? So that's all very nice, blah 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 blah, but look, there's an extra thing here, a bride price. Sorry about the tooltip there. You get the normal stuff up here about I'm proposing to marry someone, I'll gain 6 prestige and 300 from marrying a courtier, but this is the extra bit, marrying a woman as noble as Robert. Now I think this wording has gone a bit tits here, because marrying a woman as noble as Robert, she's obviously not, I'm not going to marry a woman called Robert, who's, Bob. Marry Bob. Oh, I suppose Blackadder would marry Bob. I wonder why I'd heard that. Yeah, that's Blackadder, isn't it? Yeah, marry a woman as noble as Bob. I think this is a wording error that I guess they'll have to correct. But basically, that's Robert there, and so she. Let's have a quick look at her. Robert is her liege. That's why it's banging on about that, I guess. Let's do that again then. Where's that? There you are. So I have to pay money to get a bird, and it all depends, I think, on how noble she is. I'm not sure how it works out. Let's go back, see if we can find someone who's a bit shite, who's a bit crappy. No idea. Let's try that one. So that's only 100 for some reason, so I guess there's something you need to worry about there. Marrying a woman as noble as Egus, and that's not Egus, so yeah, so they've fucked that wording up there, bless them. They probably need to say marrying a woman with a liege as noble as Egus will demand a bride price. Now I was trying to work out why you have to pay, but I'm kind of guessing it's because it's feudal, whereas before, you can take a woman and she will produce kids, and that might produce alliances, and you'll be this strong guy who can supply loads of troops and blah 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 to your, say we marry her, he might be quite happy because he might think, I'll get an alliance with this bloke and he's rich and he'll have loads of troops and he'll be taking over and he'll be very strong, plus we will get some kids off her, it won't be our dynasty, but blah 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 blah. So therefore, I'm willing to give her up because we get influence with this house. But in this case, with the republics, as we'll see with the money-wise, as we see when we come to the money, they're not necessarily going to be going mad for territory. They're going to actually be looking to trade. I mean, you can go mad for territory, I think, but generally that's not what I think these republics are doing. So maybe this guy's thinking, well, you know, I'll get an alliance with you, but how good is that alliance really? You're not going to have shitloads of troops necessarily, are you? So therefore I want you to pay me. Maybe that's what it's for. I don't know. I'm making it up. So let's have a quick look actually where. So I better do the marriage thing because it's telling me to do the marriage thing up there. So we'll just have a quick look here. We've got the Doge has gone for has declared peace and holy war. So he's actually gone off. Oh, he had done. Where is he? So he's actually gone off for Mallorca. Mallorca. Where's Mallorca? There. So he's actually gone off to try and get some territory over there. So you can declare war. I'm guessing that means that I've got troops raised somewhere. I'm assuming. Yeah, liege maintenance levy jobby. So I'm paying some money because he's raised some of my troops. So let's. So there's nothing for me to really worry about there. He's just declared war over there. So let's get rid of that. Let's have a look at this. Angelo Della Valle. Why do I give two shits about that? That's interesting. Why? Character imprisoned. I don't know why I care. Yeah, and he's been released. Lovely. Right, so let's get on with, because time is running by. I will split this up once we get to once I get to the 30-minute mark. I will stop and then we'll just continue afterwards. So what we look at now is the basis for the game, which is money. Well, actually, before we do that, let's get married. We should do that, really, shouldn't we? And let's do what I want to do actually is I usually go I'll click on the stewardship, that'll do. However, as you'll see, we have shitloads of cash coming in here because these people are wealthy. So I'm going to try for the old breeding, and what I want to do for that is I want to get one of these decent people up here, one of these decent educational traits, because they're the ones you want, but not the cleric one. But there aren't that many, are there? Which is not good. Scholarly learning, no, we don't want that. Schemer, but that's not very good. Ideally you'd want like the grey eminence. I'd like a diplomacy one, but I'm not really going to get that person, am I? Dutiful clerk's no good, flamboyant schemer's no good, so I can't do that because none of those are particularly stunning. Now that's interesting. She's pregnant. Have a quick look at her. Was she married or something? Oh yeah, she was. There you go. She's married. Sorry, that was just me trying to work out how she's up the duff. So, you know, you're not advertising that, are you, love? Keeping that nice little surprise on your few weeks after the wedding. Hey, I've given birth. No, you mean you're pregnant? No, gave birth. Gave birth. We've only been married a week. Yes, interesting. Anyway, sorry. Enough of that bullshit. So let's just go for the traits generally. See if there was a genius one I saw there, or was it a genius, or was it a brave, patient, kind? God almighty. There's not much to pick from here, is there? It's not good. Brave, yeah. I don't necessarily need her to be of age at the moment, I don't think. Because I'm not really looking for the traits. I probably am, but it's all early doors for me here. So look, she's kind and she's patient. Those are not great though. 12. So what about greedy? Diplomacy's 10, but I get an extra tax. Oh bollocks! Let's go with her. Oh, now that's interesting. Ah, no. Hang on a minute. Ah, now that's interesting. I don't have to pay anything for marrying someone who's of another family. Aliantai is up there. That's one of the other families, and I'm going to marry into that family. Why? So I don't have to pay for that. That's interesting. Let's not do that because that's early days. I don't want to get into. That's a thing about. That's definitely worth thinking about that. I'm not going to do that just because I don't know what that will bring me. Whether that's a sort of particular thing for this game that I need to look out for later. So fuck it. I was going to go. Let's do a 300. Jesus. Oh, fuck it, who cares? Yep. We'll marry her. A convoy flying the Piano standard was ambushed by pirates. Thanks to the creators of the cruise, they managed the prize money. Hey, we get loads of wonga. Right, so unmarried heir, ruler unmarried. Let's go for the unmarried. Actually, we'll wait for that. Let's just see. Right, okay, so that's gone. We'll pick an ambition. Will just be what should we get? There's nothing. These look like they haven't really changed. So let's go for intrigue. Now, unmarried heir. We're going to come to that separately, I think. So I'll unpause again. So let's, before we run out of time here, let's now talk about income because it's quite important. Important, that was. So how does he get his income? There's two extra things here for getting your income. You remember for your dements. Well, what the first thing here you'll see is, according to here, our domain is 3. 2 out of 3. For a start, you'll see that the size that he can have is much lower. He can have a maximum of 3 holdings, which is interesting. Okay, which now I'm beginning. Our son has become a grey eminence. See, that's the sort of guy you want, isn't it? There you go. That's quite useful. We'll come on to that as well as to why that's quite useful. So he might become a designated heir, maybe. So that was quite interesting, actually. If we look at this bloke, do you remember in the first thing he gave us a county, or he gave us a barony? Actually, he gave us that one, the barony of Piombinella, whatever, right? Oh, for fuck's sake, doesn't really matter, does it, at the moment? I rule. I haven't actually set my councillors out to do anything, but it doesn't matter. He gave us the first thing in the first second was he granted us that barony, which was weird because you never see that happening. But I'm wondering if he did that because he also has this tough domain size. I could be wrong, which means that he already had too many holdings, so he just kept giving them away, and that means he can go off and go for these. I don't know, could be wrong. I was trying to work out why he gave it, but it looks like you have there's a much smaller limit to how much you can hold, and again that makes sense because these are trading people, as we'll see. These are not feudal people, so you can't just go around and take a whole load of holdings over. I mean, you can take them over, but you'll have to give them away to other people, I guess. So that's a completely different. I'm guessing that's the case. I don't know what happens when you're the Doge if that goes up. Maybe it does. Count rank base 1, so maybe if you go up to Doge you get more, but overall it looks like there's a limit to how many holdings you can have. But the interesting thing is, it says we've currently got 2. However, if you look in here, it says we've got 3. That's the first difference, and then secondly there's this thing called trade, okay, which is the next difference. So let's have a quick look before we stop this video and see what the fuck that's all about. So firstly, we'll click on him, and he has got 3 holdings here, even though his domain is only 2. And what's that about? Well, these first 2 are his domain holdings, the county of Piombino and the barony which we were given of Piombino, which is those 2 there. So there's Cerveto, and there's that one there, Count Piombino. So what's the third one? Well, the third one is his house. Now this is a new concept again, because this guy's not going to have shitloads of territory because of his domain limit and because he's a trader. What he actually has, what do we want? Am I actually off leading troops? I am. Am I the? Oh yeah, because he's called up my troops. What do I want? I don't give a shit, really, do I? Let's have Master of Rough Terrain. What does that mean? Does that mean you good at shagging ugly birds? I don't know. Fuck knows. Is there much? Focus on Lightfoot. He's light-footed. Does that mean he wants to? Does that mean he's going to concentrate on being gay? So okay, so he's ugly birds, light-footed. Is it light-footed? Is that the phrase? He's light on his feet. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So ugly birds. Are you gay? I can't think of anything for the other 2. Focus on cavalry then. There you go. So we just got some extras. We just got something there. That's all lovely. Someone has been imprisoned. Oh, that's just come from the war. So that's because we are at war still over in Mallorca. Come back in 1100 years, and he would have been at war with a load of pissed up Brits on holiday. So anyway, oh yeah, that was it. The third. He's got these 2 holdings, then he's also getting income here of 12.1 from Dappiano, and also a big levy of 273 compared to his 2 holdings. So what's all that bullshit about? Well, because we know he can't really own shitloads of feudal territories, what they've basically said is because this guy is the head of one of the 5 most powerful families, he has a load of smaller holdings all over the place there, which I think are known as the family palace. And where are the family palaces? Well, they're actually here. I didn't know this before, but it's here. If you click on here, you can see that 1101. Oh Actually, I think that's the trading post. Forget that. Here's the house of whatever you want it by. There it is, 12.1, 12.1. For some reason, it's only got. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah, we need to get her married. Fuck it, do I care? I'll find her someone nice. Do I care? Gotland. Let's try that bloke with Gotland. No idea. He's another patrician family. Anyway, so here's our. These are all. This is our little holding, because we are the head of the house of Piano. Okay. So what's that all about? It's just a load of small holdings. Now, the interesting thing here is this can't be taken off you. Like someone can come in and take these two holdings here, the barony, and the someone can take that off you, someone can take that off you, but they can't take that off you because these are just a whole collection of little assets you have scattered all over the province because you are one of the big noble families. And the reason I think they do that is because you need to have more income because you're limited to what you can hold, plus it's just representing the fact that you are a very powerful, one of the 5 most powerful families. So you have more than just big holdings, you have loads of small little ones, and they provide you with the levies. Now, interestingly, actually, it's just been. Oh yeah, of course. Sorry, there's 358, but we only get 273, and I'm guessing the difference there is because of we have to supply some to our liege. Possibly, could be wrong about that. But anyway, that's what that bollocks is, and it can be upgraded, as you can see. And these upgrades are quite different. Some of them got things like this: palace garden, get prestige up. A wine cellar gets fertility up. Hee hee. Tax income from a vault, map room, blah blah blah, and there's loads of sort of, I guess, events that get that up. So this can't be taken off you, but it does give you income, and it passes down to your heir, I think. So there's the domain holding. So that's why again it's going to be slightly confusing, because this is telling you you've got 2 out of 3, this is telling you you've already got 3, so you just have to remember that one of them will always be your family holding and doesn't really count as that. Is your family palace. So then the third bit of income that we have to look at, is the trade post. So this is what you could argue is the key, and this is new, and this is basically represented. A trade post is represented by this little thing, which looks like the top of a stag beetle or something. But it's basically, I guess, a harbour, a bigger harbour for a trade post. And what you can actually see is, I think there's a flag on the trade post which tells you whose it is. Blah blah blah. So what's this about? Well, basically now every single coastal part of the world, every single coastal province can have a trade post in it. So if you click on a normal internal one, you just get the normal screen. If you click on the coastal one, you see you get that screen, the normal holding screen, but also a trade post screen. Now in this case there hasn't been a trade post built, but let's have a look here. In ours there has been a trade post. That's our holding, and there's a trade post there now, and it gives you some information about this trade post. And this is a trade post that's owned by Della Gradesca. That's actually the Doge, so we don't own that trade post. It brings him income. But let's have a look at ours. We have one here in Pisa. There it is, Pisa de Piano, and we are getting from it 11 income, and there's your income there. And that income is affected by various things. You get a trade post of 6, there's a trade zone bonus, which we'll talk about, connected to the capital, and then trade practices, which is your skills and all that cock. It doesn't get you any levy. You can garrison it because people might attack it. But that's what you're doing with a trade post. So what's the point of that? Well, that's, as you can see, you're making income. So what you want to do is, the idea is, these are trading republics, so you want to go around the world setting up more trade posts and expanding your influence. So for instance, we might go here, and you can see there's no trade post, so we can build one. It will cost us 161, then it will be finished in a year's time or something, and that will get us more income in that area. So, oh, hang on, what's this? I don't want to be shy, I want to be gregarious, yes please. So we use up money and we get a new trade post, and that gets us more income. So you might think that's easy. Well, the further away you get, the more expensive it is. So if you try and build a trade post there, you see that's now gone up to 223. I think if you try and build one over here, as you can see, we can't do it now because we haven't got enough wealth. There's a distance penalty. If you look at that, the base cost of setting up that trade post is 150. Let's just check that one out there. Base cost of setting... oh, there's one there already. Twat. Not end. Go there. The base... oh, fuck off. Does it tell me the base? Yeah, the base cost is 150 in both cases, but over here the base cost was 150, but there's a distance penalty 322% extra, which is 30% of the total distance. Plus there's an opinion modifier as well. So the further away you get, the more it's going to cost you to open up these trade posts. So you can't just go around harvesting a load of money and opening up trade posts willy-nilly. It's going to cost you more money. There is a way apparently of cheapening that, which is if you can somehow take over, in this case, the city. If you can take over that holding, apparently it makes it cheaper. And you'll notice therefore that with this bloke here, I can declare war for all of his cities. Let's have a quick look in his holdings. He's got let's have a look. The mayor. I can take over all of this bloke's. I can declare war, sorry, for all of his cities. Without, I don't need a casus belli to do it. I can just do it. I can say I want to seize this city. And why do I want to do it? Well, I'm a naval republic, so I can just declare war. If I get the city, it's all the coastal cities basically. If I get the city, I think then I'll own the city. Plus, if I then try and set up a trade post, I think it gives me a benefit to doing that, because it makes it cheaper. I could be talking cobblers. Don't know why I said it in that voice. I could be talking cobblers, but we'll have to see. So what do you want to do with the trade posts? Well, you get this thing called trade zone bonus. So have a look at this again. We had our income from our trade post up here, and we got this thing here, trade zone bonus. Well, if you open up a load of trade zones in trade posts in a load of areas together, you get a bonus because you create your own little trade zone. You're shutting people out because there's only one trade post per area, so you get a trade zone, and that's actually what that blue thing is. That trade zone is therefore there at the moment. Let's have a look. Yeah, this guy here has got one. His trade zone is therefore there. I'm guessing if I was to come along and open up a trade zone here, that might screw up his trade post here. That might screw up his zone, so I don't know. As you can see, this guy's got a trade post, so that's his zone. But maybe if I was to open one up here, that would screw his zone up. I don't know. We have to play with that and have to see how it works. So basically, you can set up trade posts. You can take over other people's trade posts. So let's go to Genoa and declare war. Again, seize the trade posts. We can still seize cities, but now we can seize all of his trade posts. And again, we don't need a casus belli because he is the Doge. Now I believe maybe we can't do it against the weaker people. I'm not sure if this bloke probably doesn't actually have. This guy doesn't have trade posts. So I'm just looking at that. Pisa. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's an example of a trade zone. I don't know if this will tell me. Trade zone bonus. Let's go there as well. Trade zone. But yeah, if you look at these two here, you got Pisa. Pisa has got a trade zone there. You can see that Pisa Visconti, and Visconti has also got sorry, not a trade zone. He's got a trading post there and a trading post there. That's created a much bigger trade zone of those two areas, and therefore you look at his income, he's getting this bonus of 39.6. Now let's go back to our trade zone. I'm probably opening myself up here yeah, I'm only getting 33.5 because I don't really have much of a trade zone bonus. If we look at this guy, this is a different bloke, Kitani. He's only got one of those things, so his zone bonus is only 26.8. So maybe it's size related, I don't quite know, but certainly this bloke's trade zone, as you can see when you click on him, it's much bigger. I don't know if we can see anyone else's while we're at it. As you can see, there aren't many trade posts there, and that's kind of normal. So basically, I get you can declare war for other trade posts. You can set other trade posts up anywhere you want. The interesting thing is though that if you set a trade post up somewhere else, say I set one up over here, just go, I have enough money and I do it, this guy can do what I believe is called embargoing. He can declare war on me. And what he does is he basically embargoes or I think almost destroys the trade post. The benefit for him is that he gets a load of money by doing that if he wins, plus it stops me putting a trade post there for the rest of his life, I believe, or the rest of my life. I'm not sure which one it is. So I guess maybe there's political things where you can get an ally to destroy someone else's trade post. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure. So that's kind of where we are. So as you can see, I'm going to pause because this has gone up to 40 minutes now. I don't want to make it too big, but as you can see, we haven't gone that far, but I think it's interesting. I'm not sure. It's a completely different game in many respects, and I'm therefore not entirely sure what the longevity is of this, because I think I need to play along a bit and get a succession and see what happens then, and see what things throw themselves up. I do know there are some other events that go on called vendettas between the families. You can start vendettas and that has an impact, blah 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 blah. So we need to be aware of that. These are the two trade zones are here. There we are. It tells you all of the trade zones there. Those are those two trade zones we talked about of that guy there. I think fucking aberrated. So yeah, so if you go up to the Republic, you can see what the other families are doing. You can have a look at their family palaces, and you can have a look at their trade zones. So there's the one trade zone that we have. So apart from that, I'm going to pause and then probably continue shortly. So thanks for listening. I don't know if anyone's interested in this, or for me continuing. It certainly looks kind of interesting. For a while anyway, it certainly looks different, and we'll see how well it's actually been built, because maybe it's shit, I don't know. So I hope that wasn't too dull, and come back and see me or listen to me again. Cheers.